Hey guys, welcome to Soul Old Soul. My name is Maria, and today I'm going to share with you my May makes. So, if you're part of the sewing community, you probably know about Me Made May. It's a challenge that has sort of developed into just as something for the sewing community to do and to follow each other. It's basically to wear your me-made items as much as you can, to think about gaps in your wardrobe, things you would really like to make, what you wear most. And for me, it was just really fun to follow along on Instagram, and people were just really active posting their outfits, and it was really inspiring. So though I didn't participate, I'm not sure if I ever will because I'm terrible at challenges. I'm kind of a rebel in that sense. I don't like any sort of outside imposed restrictions or challenges. I tend to be very, I am self-motivated, but even if I impose challenges on myself, I tend not to keep them. Anything where I feel like I have to do something, I kind of want to do the opposite. So, anyway, yes, Me Made May. Thank you everyone who has participated, all you non-rebels out there. So yes, I'm going to talk about the things I made in May. May was a really, really good month as far as my sewing went. And I was actually gone. I took a trip to Montana and I was gone for about 5 days, but I still managed to get a lot of sewing done in the month. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, the first thing I really, really wanted to make, because I've been making dresses and I plan on making more dresses, is I wanted to make a slip. A light colored slip that I could wear under my lighter colored dresses, because I have a black ready to wear slip that I like and I'll probably keep wearing it, but I wanted a light colored slip and I wanted something breathable and summery, so I didn't want a man-made fiber. I wanted something pretty natural. So I was thinking of making one out of linen, because I really like linen, but the more I thought about it, linen just has a little bit too much structure on its own to be a slip. I needed something a little bit more slinky and fine. Even though you can get really fine linens, it still just has a lot of structure to it. So I decided to go with a linen rayon blend, which is what this is here. This is a linen rayon voile, and I got this from Blackbird Fabrics. So I made the Hadley by Grainline Studio. I just decided, I was thinking in my last episode, I talked about the Mito Cami by Paper Cut Patterns, and I was thinking of using that as a slip pattern, but in the end I decided to go with a Hadley because I really like these thicker straps. I didn't like the little spaghetti straps. It just wasn't very comfortable. So I did the Hadley. One really good thing about the Hadley is it has a really deep neckline. So I have some shirt dresses and some kind of deeper V-neck dresses, and I needed something with a deep V. I don't really like it when something is showing underneath. Like, I don't even really like it when, you wear a tank top underneath a dress or something and you can see that line. I feel like it just sort of breaks up the nice neckline on like a V-neck or a shirt dress. So I wanted a deep neckline. The Hadley has a really nice deep neck. I would probably not actually wear this on its own. If I made it into a shirt or a dress, just because it is such a deep neckline. I think it would be flattering I do think it would be flattering if you had more of a bust to kind of fill that out, but I don't have much, so it just, it just kind of flops around. So yeah, I did the Hadley. I lengthened it into a dress length. So it's just really loose fitting. I don't have any photos of me wearing this because it's kind of see-through. It's definitely more of an undergarment. So yeah, I just extended the hemline by quite a bit. It falls just below my knee, or just kind of at my knee. And what else do I have to say? Oh, I didn't really do anything different, except the Hadley has a facing around the neck and the armholes. And I didn't really like the way it felt. I wanted all of the seams to be enclosed, and the facing was just serged along the edge. I guess you could turn the seam under and then stitch it, but still I just didn't like, I'm not a huge fan of facings. I don't like having that fabric just kind of hanging there. So on something like an undergarment that I plan on getting lots of use out of, I decided, so I put the facing on, and then I decided to just turn it under and stitch it. So it's almost like a bias binding. And it worked pretty well. I mean, this fabric is quite forgiving. And then if you just, press it flat, it presses really well, and it's under my clothes, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. But it's so comfortable. This fabric is just beautiful. Has a little bust dart, has a pleat in the back. Yeah, I've been wearing this a lot. I've made a couple dresses this month as well. So one of them is too short to wear the slip with, but the other one I've been wearing it under other dresses as well. So it's been getting a lot of use already. Then the next thing I made was also something I felt like I really needed in my wardrobe, and that was a nice lightweight jacket that I can sort of wear every day. So I decided to make the Grainline Studio Tamarack jacket, another Grainline Studio pattern. So this jacket did not appeal to me whatsoever when I first saw it. But then the more I thought about it, I thought you could make it really cool, and the fabric possibilities were sort of endless with this jacket. So I made it out of, I made it out of linen. So this is some handkerchief linen that I got from Purl, Soho. And I got it in the desert colorway. And I got the fabric, and I wasn't crazy about the color. It was like the exact same color as my skin. It was flesh colored. And I guess it was pretty, but not for a jacket. So I actually, I got some dye, and I dyed the fabric, and I dyed it this really pretty, more of a pink color, peachy pink. And I love this color so much. And the fabric is really beautiful. It is perfect for this project. And then I lined it with this fabric, which might look familiar. I made my first Soho dress by Dear and Joe Patterns using this fabric. And I bought quite a bit of it because I loved it so much. So I figured I could use it for different things, and it just seemed like a really good fit for this project. I wanted something kind of striking on the inside, and also it does have some pink in it, so it looks really good with the pink on the jacket. This jacket was one of the most difficult things I've ever made, and I feel like the design is quite deceiving. It looks super simple. I thought it was something that I could, whip up in a day, but it took me a couple weeks to actually finish it. I worked really hard on it for a couple days, and then there were a few things that I'd put off for a while, but so many techniques. I had never done quilting, so there are 3 layers. There's the lining, and then a batting, a cotton polyester batting, and then the linen, and you have to quilt all the pattern pieces together before you actually sew them. So I had to very meticulously draw lines, and it was actually quite fun and satisfying to draw all these straight lines and then stitch them, and then put everything together. But it was very time consuming, and you have to do that before you can even start sewing the project together. So that was one thing. The next difficult part were these pockets. So it has these welt pockets, and I know I've done welt pockets before, but it was, sorry, very loud truck. I have done welt pockets before, but it's been probably almost 10 years. So they're just these, and then there's the pocket bag on the inside. This is all wrinkly because it's linen, and I've washed it probably 3 or 4 times already since I finished it, and I'm not going to iron a jacket. I just take it out of the dryer and wear it. So this was quite a complicated process. It took a while, and you have to do 2 of them. So there was that, and then also it's completely bias bound all the way around the jacket. And I did the pockets as well with the bias binding. Yes, so I had to make my own bias binding, and I've honestly never really used bias binding, at least not properly, and I'm not even sure I used it correctly in this because I can see the stitches. I just sort of wrapped it around and then stitched it, but I think there is a better way to do this. I actually think that they have a tutorial on the Grainline Studios blog about how to do bias binding properly. I mean, I think this works, and it is one way of attaching bias binding, but there is another way where the stitches are invisible and all you see is the binding. But, I mean, this works. It's a very just casual jacket. It doesn't have a collar, which I thought would bother me, but I actually kind of like it because I don't have a super long neck. My neck is quite short, or maybe average, but sometimes things with a collar, I feel like they sort of drown my neck. But this actually just sits on me really nice, and it looks quite good. So I'm gonna pop in some photos here of me wearing it. Yeah, I really love this, and like I said, I've washed it like 3 or 4 times already since I made it the beginning of May, and I wear it almost every day. The only thing I will say is this fabric, because it's very light, I think it is going to get dirty. You know, I know I've gotten some stuff on it already, and also because it's so pale, it doesn't, and it's pink, and this kind of color pink is one of my favorite colors. It doesn't go with everything in my wardrobe, so I want to either make another one of these in a different color, like a chambray, or a different jacket pattern. We'll see, but I really do need another jacket like this. It's so comfy and just squishy. It almost feels more like a sweater than a jacket. thing I made is something I planned on making with one of my friends, and she lives in Finland, but she mostly knits. She's a knitting pattern designer, and she does sew a little bit, but she wants to get better, and she was really inspired by all the things I was making, so I offered to have sort of a knit along with her where we would knit the same pattern, and I would, send her videos and messages, just kind of helping her along for the parts that I thought were difficult. So we decided to make a skirt, and we settled on the Zinnia skirt by Colette Patterns. I already had it. I actually had the pattern, I bought the PDF and I had the pattern sent off to pdfplotting.com. I think it's either PDF Plotters or PDF Plotting. I'll be sure to put the link below, but you can give them your PDF files online, and then they will print them on giant sheets of paper so that you don't have to print out all of your pages and tape them together and cut them out. You just have that one big piece of paper and cut them out, and it was really nice. I did the Hadley, the Zinnia, and then I also have another pattern that I sent off to them, and it was not very expensive at all, and the shipping was super fast. So I really recommend doing that. I've kind of stopped buying PDFs if I can help it, because I really don't enjoy the process of taping all of the pages together. And it also just feels like a huge waste of my computer paper because I use it a lot for my business as well. So yes, we made the Zinnia skirt. So I chose this really beautiful fabric from Blackbird Fabrics again. They do have some really pretty fabrics. This is a linen viscose blend, and I think it has quite a high viscose content. I think like 30–35% at least, and it's sort of a medium weight. It has really amazing drape, and it is super buttery soft. Like, there is no scratchiness at all on this fabric. And I decided to, we wanted to make a maxi length skirt. So we lengthened the Zinnia pattern, and we did the gathered waistband, and then a zipper in the back with a little button. I decided to do an exposed jean zipper because I thought with this kind of thicker fabric and the navy, it looked really cool to have that exposed zipper in the back, and it's also really strong because it's a metal zipper. So this came together really quickly. I was hoping the pattern instructions would be really easy for my friend to follow, but I actually found them pretty confusing in parts. Like the waistband, I actually think there was the zipper for one of the styles. The instructions for putting the zipper in were actually not there. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but for someone who's never done a zipper before, I can see how that would be a little confusing. So, I mean, it came together. I hope she hasn't finished her version yet, but I did videos of the confusing bits. So hopefully she can figure it out. But apart from the slightly confusing constructions or instructions, I love this skirt. It's mostly due to this beautiful fabric. Oh, I also did pockets, inseam pockets. This is just a super comfy, cozy skirt, and it's great for those like in between spring days when it's not super warm. So you want something covering your legs. It's actually, this skirt is really cozy. Like if I'm sitting down, it's almost like having a blanket on my legs, and because it goes all the way down to the ground, it really keeps that warm air in, and yet that linen, it's still breathable, and I think it'll be great in really hot weather as well. Yeah, I love this skirt. I've worn it around the house a lot. It's, I guess, sort of like secret pajamas. Yeah, and this fabric is so, so gorgeous. I have more, and actually the thing I'm going to talk about next is also made with this fabric. So I'll pop in some photos of the skirt really quick for you to see. Yeah, I love this. I really do think I could use more of these in my wardrobe. And I'm really glad that I made it. And the last thing I am going to talk about is what I'm wearing. So this is the Willamette shirt by Hey June Patterns. It's a PDF only pattern, so I printed it out and put the pieces together. I wanted to make a shirt like this because this is something I'm going to talk about in a different video later on, but I'll talk about it a little bit here. I kind of want to make like a little mini summer capsule wardrobe. Lauren Guthrie from Guthrie and Ghani did one of these last summer, and I really, really liked hers. So I kind of wanted to do my own version. So I went on Pinterest and created a Pinterest board for a sort of spring-summer capsule wardrobe, and I'll put a link to that below so you can go check that out if you want to see my inspiration. But I just sort of started pinning things, and I was seeing similar things pop up. And one of those that just kept popping up over and over was a shirt with a collar like this. And I looked up what this kind of collar is called because I didn't know what to call it. This like open collar that it doesn't have a collar stand, and it has this like lapel. And from what I could tell, it's called a notched collar, though I've also seen it called a convertible collar, and I think there's another name for it, but I'm just going to call it a notched collar because it has this little notch right here, and the lapel. So I started researching and trying to find patterns that had this, and there really aren't that many. So the Willamette shirt from Hey June was the first one I found, and I wasn't super attracted to it, partly because it has these like grown-on sleeves, so it actually doesn't have sleeve caps, and I haven't decided if I really like this. I do love it on this shirt, but I'm always not quite sure if I really like that style. And it's also really, really loose. So I was worried it was going to be like really baggy because I tend to like things that fit a little more because I have a small waist, and that's something I really like about myself, and I want to accentuate. So yeah, I just wasn't sure if I would like the style. But there weren't that many patterns that I found with this type of collar. I did find a few more. I wrote a blog post on it. And since then, I've also found a couple more from New Look Patterns, so a Big Four version. But yes, for part of this little summer capsule, I want to do, I'm going to make some of these shirts, and I'm going to try out as many of the patterns as I can to try to find my favorite, but this first attempt came out so well. I love the shirt. Again, this is the Viscose linen from Blackbird Fabrics, and I don't remember which version I made, but basically it's just the simple version, the long version. I didn't do the cropped, I did the long version. I lengthened it actually by 1 inch because I do have a long torso and I wanted it to be, you know, long-ish. But I would say it is pretty generous in the length anyways, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do that. And so it's a slip-on shirt. Doesn't have any buttons, which is great. So it came together really quickly. So it has like a facing, like it would have buttons, and you certainly could do buttons and buttonholes if you wanted. It would just be a matter of not sewing this front section together and actually putting buttons and buttonholes on. I thought about doing that because I like the look of buttons, but in the end I just decided to make it simple and minimal. It doesn't have, you don't have to attach any sleeves, so that also saves a lot of time. It has this really nice cuff on the sleeve. It's kind of a nice weight. Well, this fabric has a really nice weight and structure to it. It just feels really secure. I did not interface the collar or the facing. I'm really glad I didn't because this fabric is a little bit thick, and especially on the facing, it just would have been way too stiff if I had used interfacing. And I kind of like the floppy collar. It just feels really comfy, and it doesn't, like I said, with my shorter neck, it doesn't feel like it's like strangling me. And it has just a really flattering, I mean, you can make the neckline as low or as high as you want. You just sew it at a different level, and she has instructions in the pattern for how to do that. And the pattern is so well written. I would definitely make other patterns designed by Hey June Patterns. Yeah, the instructions were the best instructions I've ever come across for a sewing pattern. There was no issues whatsoever. Usually I have, you know, the project in one hand and a seam ripper in the other, and I'm using that thing all the time because I don't understand the instructions or I misread them. But this was just so clear. Everything just was so smooth. Yeah, and I love this shirt. I've worn this shirt a lot as well. Almost everything I've made this month, I've worn a lot. So I want more of these, but I also want to try out some of the other patterns I've come across. And then I'm going to do sort of separate posts or YouTube videos on the various things I want to do for my capsules. So actually that navy skirt, that was also, that long maxi length navy skirt was something I also had in my Pinterest board. So yeah, I'm going to do some more videos. I want to do sort of a roundup of all the notched collared shirts once I make a few more. But this one is really, really nice, and I don't know if I can beat this one. It's so comfortable, and I love the fabric. So I think that's it for what I've made this month, apart from the 2 other makes. I did make 2 other things, but it was sort of a collaboration I did with someone. So I'm going to make a separate video with those, and then we're going to put them up on the same day so you can kind of see our different versions. So that will be coming up soon, hopefully within the next week or so. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you were inspired by the things I made this month. Again, if you have a sewing YouTube channel, let me know in the comments. I would love to see your channel. I'm always looking for new sewing channels because it kind of seems like there's not that many. I mean, there's quite a few, but there can always be new ones. So yes, let me know Give me a thumbs up if you liked this, and subscribe. Yeah, I will be back quite soon with another video, so yeah, happy sewing, and I hope you have a beautiful June. Bye.